to pull the trigger for someone who will absolutely not win. That's not the kind of person who was ever on the fence. You're not going to really convince these people. Setting aside the fact that Connor would still be trailing Balderson, even if Vancheck was off the ballot, and every single one of the 1,127 people who voted for him had bothered to show up and vote for the Democrat instead, something which would not happen. This take confuses the Green Party with angry Democratic voters. So, I mean, these aren't angry Democratic voters. These are Green Party voters. They're not going to be convinced anytime soon. So, just like, it's not going to work. You're not going to get it to happen. Anyway, we now turn to the media. Fox News host Laura Ingraham went on a wildly xenophobic, racist rant on Wednesday, citing immigration as the reason for her lost love for America. Let's take a listen.
On the show. Nevertheless, she's kind of right in a general sense. Because in some parts of the country, it does seem like the America that we know and love doesn't exist anymore. Massive demographic changes have been foisted upon the American people. And they're changes that none of us ever voted for and most of us don't like. From Virginia to California, we see stark examples of how radically, in some ways, the country has changed. Now, much of this is related to both illegal and, in some cases, legal immigration that, of course, progressives love. Remember the old Democrats, maybe some of them that Ocasio-Cortez referring to, they used to think that borders mattered. But the new activists believe enforcing immigration laws is essentially an ongoing human rights violation. Of course, they want to abolish ICE and so forth. Well, today we were reminded again of why our law has to be enforced, borders strengthened, and the wall built, loopholes closed, and sanctuary city policies ended once and for all. Check out what happened courtesy of Philadelphia's refusal to cooperate with ICE detainers. In May of 2009, Juan Ramon Vasquez, a citizen of Honduras, was deported from the United States. Just 5 years later, in March 2014, ICE officers found out that Vasquez was back in the U.S. and was in custody with the Philadelphia Department of Prisons. Philadelphia, however, refused to comply with an ICE detainer request, so Vasquez was instead released from custody. After his release, Vasquez was rearrested and ultimately convicted for child rape. This is an unspeakable act of evil that should have never occurred and never occurred on American soil. Remember when the current mayor of Philly did this after a judge ruled in favor of his city's sanctuary status?
A sanctuary city, yeah. A sanctuary city, yeah.
Oh my God, what?
My new favorite mayor, by the way. Can I just say that? My new favorite mayor. He, like, that. We'll continue with the comment in a moment. But this guy, she's moaning on and on about how she's, like, showing pictures of, like, a tractor and, like, people cutting down crops. So it's clear she's trying to appeal to, like, the white working class voters, all that. And she's about to, oh, this is going to be so good. I cannot wait. So this guy, he's like, whoever the current mayor of Philadelphia is, he just goes on, he's like, we are a sanctuary city, and does like this dance where it's like, his hands are in the air, he's jumping up and down, and he's like a sanctuary. It's one of the funniest things ever. But yeah, it's incredible, the way these people view these people. Like just, can you be, like, the vast majority of people who come in here are are not criminals. Like, they're good people, and sure, you can deport them, but sanctuary cities are good because if the people are here, if someone gets attacked on your country, on your soil, they should be able to report it. Like, they should be kept, like, until their courts are heard, or cases are heard in court, then it'll become in a moment acceptable to get them out of the country. Obviously, like, we are not going to have, like, if they're able to stay in the country and they are able to be granted the path to citizenship, yes, If they get in trouble, they should be thrown out. Like, people should be processed. People should be registered. People should become citizens. Like, say what a 5-year trial period. If you're good by then, you unlock the citizenship, and you become pretty much an American citizen with the same rights as American citizen. You take your citizenship test. You become monitored. You're not monitored anymore. You're not hounded anymore. And if you commit a crime, then you're sent to jail, just like everyone else, because America was built on immigration. All your ancestors, Laura Ingraham, if you come from like Ireland or Scotland or whatever, they probably came over on a ship. They probably were like, okay, we're going to need to come over here. We're going to kill some settlers, or I don't know. I shouldn't say that, but like, we're going to need to get ourselves set up. We're going to need to become citizens, and they had that right. So why in the world shouldn't you have that right? The leftists are just trying to be tolerant and nice to all people, not just to illegal immigrants. Like, that's as simple as it is. Not just to illegal immigrants, not just to Americans. No, we're trying to add to the country. We're trying to make it a better place. So people who are granted to citizenship status, the point is they should be at one point or another, because it's just becoming, it's getting to a point where it's ridiculous, and people are not working to make this country a better place. They're just making it more divided and make it worse. So now we get off from we're done with my little diatribe here. I do want to watch the rest of this clip, and we're going to go now to. So this is the Philadelphia mayor after he just found out that they were voted to become a sanctuary city.
Yeah, a sanctuary city. Yeah.
Oh my God! What an embarrassment! At this point, I would hope the voters in Philadelphia would see the light and send Mayor James Kenney packing. He's a disgrace. If only such heartbreaking stories, though, were isolated events. They're not.
They are. Wow, James Kenney, my new favorite mayor. That was something. He's like, we are a sanctuary city. Turn that into like a blockbuster. Like, I want to be more helpful. I want to make sure immigrants, while they're here, undocumented immigrants, they have a pathway to citizenship. They're treated like fairly, and if they do bad things, they can be prosecuted. They can be obviously deported. Whatever. What a disgrace! Send him packing. Like, what is wrong with you? All right, so here's more of this clip.
Last weekend in Colorado Springs, a police officer, Sem Duzel, was critically injured. He was shot by an Iraqi refugee allowed into the U.S. under President Obama. Karar Noman al-Khamasi had been ordered deported after a felony trespassing probation violation, only to be released by a judge who cited changes in the law. It was beyond tragic.
Oh,
and
my
for
God.
all of you who are buying into the...
That's 2 incidents, by the way. It's not an isolated incident. It happened twice. Oh, my God. Okay, police are killed. Black people are killed by police like 20 times. It's still an isolated incident. They're good apples, they're bad apples. It just happens. Like, do you see what I'm seeing here in this situation? Wow. Like, this is, some incredible stuff. And obviously, I think we should make this 100% clear. No one likes any murder of any kind. But still, it's really some incredible stuff. So, here we will play our final clip.
Media narrative about the horrors perpetrated on children who are kept temporarily in HHS custody, who've crossed the border. The kids have crossed
put in
the border
cages,
illegally. Consider an actual
abused,
horror. An illegal who crossed the border with a child he claimed was his own. Well, that illegal adult turned out to be the child's rapist. Ramon Pedro showed up at a border crossing in Texas last April. He said he was traveling with his daughter, and he demanded entry into the U.S. Well, like thousands of other family units, they were processed and then released into the United States. It's called catch and release. Well, late last month, at a routine health screening, doctors discovered the girl had been sexually assaulted allegedly by him?
Allegedly, A, given due process, we are in America, and then, if he did, deport him. It's that simple. It's that simple. Deport him. And, like, all the left is saying, we can just take a second to make sure that these people are good people, give them a trial period. If they do anything wrong, then we are just going to make them make them normal Americans. Like, Americanize them, get them into this country, get them into the process that is being an American on a day-to-day level. But, like, if they're bad, whatever trial period, whatever time one is set, 5 years, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever. Like, if they are bad, if they're worthy, if they have any criminal activity through that time, and if they pass the background checks coming in here, if they pass mandatory if they're not, we know they're not criminals or ISIS or whatever. There's some, like, radical terrorist group, or they're not a gang member, or they're whatever bad things people could do. If they pass background checks coming into the country, they should be allowed in. They should be allowed to prove themselves in this country, and if they do, throughout, again, as I said, whatever time period, whatever time trial period you want to set, then they should be able to become citizens. Simple as that. That's all we're saying. Like, that's our difference in policy. We're not celebrating because someone is raped. We're not celebrating because a little girl's raped, and that's obvious. There's no Nancy Pelosi's not saying that. Chuck Schumer's not saying. Not even Bernie Sanders saying that. He's the left wing dude, right? He's not saying that. No one's saying that. No one's ever saying that. No one's ever said that. And when she says that, she is poisoning the minds of however many people listen to her or watch her or listen to her on a radio show, for that matter. And she's filling people's heads with just BS things. BS things. All right, so it's just that simple, and she's awful. Anyway, we are going to take a quick break to talk about my boy, Chris Kobach of Kansas. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Newsflash, and today we are discovering more about this strange piece of news from Tuesday's primary election coverage. Chris Kobach's lead in Kansas as the GOP's governor race is now cut to 91 votes after a county clerk discovers a voting discrepancy in this race. So, Kansas Secretary of State's Chris Kobach, he's running for governor, and he's overseeing his own race in the Republican primary. He's overseeing his own race, and he is he is up to just a hair now, 91 votes over Jeff Collier, who is the incumbent GOP governor. So the race between Kobach and incumbent GOP Governor Jeff Collier remains too close to call, with more than 311 votes tallied, 311,000 votes tallied, and more than 10,000 absentee and provisional ballots left to count, so meaning the race will not be settled for days. It's certainly possible the result of the race could change. Kobach said at a news conference Thursday, damn straight it could. The discrepancy was the result was with the results in Thomas County, where County Clerk Shelley Harms said Collier got 522 votes, not the 422 votes he was listed as having received on the Secretary of State's website. So, who's the Secretary of State? Chris Kobach. Yeah, Chris Kobach, for those of you who don't know, is one of the most dishonest people in the country when it comes to voting, voter fraud. He headed a commission about voter fraud, people voting twice, illegal immigrants being busted, and all that stuff, to investigate those issues so he could propose more voter suppression laws disproportionately affecting minorities or people who would more likely vote Democratic, not his party, to the all-GOP legislature in Congress. So they could pass it in places like North Carolina, places in the South where Republicans still want to hold on to power, places like Texas, all these Republican states that do have these voter suppression laws. Another one is Arizona. So yeah, this again, all of this big problems. There's a little bit of a backdrop there for Chris Kobach, and let's hope he loses. Just hope he eats some what. The discrepancy was with results again in Thomas County. So Shelley Harms, the county clerk there, shared with CNN the document she faxed the Secretary of State's office on election night, listing Collier's total as 522. She said she had not had time to inform the Secretary of State's office that its unofficial result total was inaccurate. Kobach as Secretary of State.